Afternoon, happy time zone. We're getting right back in with Mortarion, and I'm working on his base today. So, yeah. Probably going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. The base has got a surprising amount of detail on it. We got 3 Nurglings on here. And some rocks and stuff like that too, but we're going to be finishing this whole base off today in one go. So all I'm doing here is tidying up some mold lines. Just bits that didn't properly cut off the sprue, that kind of thing before we get started. You all know the drill by now. So I'm using a scalpel to trim the plastic, trying to keep my fingers well clear. These things are sharp, and there's a surprising amount of force behind them sometimes. So just keep your fingers clear if you are using them. And ironically, if you keep your blade sharp, you're less likely to cut yourself. So don't be scared to change the blade frequently. Just make sure you dispose of it responsibly too. Pop it in a sharp bin, or at least an old drinks can, something like that, so that whoever empties your bins doesn't get a nasty surprise. Just a little bit of trimming on here. I wanted to add a bit more texture on this side. Good morning, Indy. Welcome in. I hope you're well. I suppose it's evening for you, Indy. But I hope you're well either way. I hope you're having a good weekend. Just a little bit down here. But yeah, basically today is just going to be all about this base. So at the moment I'm just trimming off excess plastic wherever I see it, tidying up mold lines, that kind of stuff. It shouldn't take too long because I did a lot of it when I assembled the base. We'll get on to the painting, and it'll be fun because we'll be using all the different variety of paints. There's going to be a lot of texture and technical paints flying around on this bit. Let's kick it off. That's the wrong colour already. Off to a good start. I know, I had a pot of the paint I intend to use, which is Mechanical Standard Grey. Just need to find brushes to spit it off to. And this, folks, is like paste to organise your paints every now and again. Where is it gone? Interesting. Just checking it's not hiding behind the water or something, otherwise I'm gonna just have to do the next best thing. Okay, well, we'll go to the next best thing. I'm not going to sit around all day looking for Mechanicus wherever it's gone to. Just double checking. Ah, wait. Wait a minute. There it is. It's hiding. Alright, so Mechanicus Standard Grey. Pretty straightforward one. I'm going with quite a neutral base overall. Mainly because I don't want it to distract too much from Mortarion himself when the model gets stood on here. So remember, this is what we got done last time. That's from last time. There's a lot of detail, lots of stuff going on there. We don't want the model to look too busy and too, like, over the top. So keeping the base kind of neutral, simple, clean. Well, not clean necessarily, but you get my drift. Nothing too complex here. Makes it easier for me today when, when I'm painting. And it makes a better effect at the end when we're not spending too much time staring at the base and we're actually enjoying Mortarion himself. How's my morning been? I mean, it's been okay, thank you, Andy. Just kind of woke up, had breakfast, put stream on. I had quite a late night last night, so it's been super chill this morning. I'm looking forward to this afternoon. I'm cooking all afternoon. It's gonna be fun. How's about you, Andy? How's your weekend been? I hope you've had a good one. Yeah, like I said, kind of a neutral base that I'm going with sort of pale grey rocks. Details are probably going to be, brown coloured, green, that kind of thing. Very, very light on a lot of detail. Again, I'm going in with the rocks as well. So the reason I'm using Mechanicus Standard is because I plan to use some texture paint on the flat parts of the base. And Mechanicus Standard is sort of like the closest match. So I intend to be using Astrogranite later on. And here, all I am trying to do is give these a coat of grey as well, without accidentally swamping too much texture out of it. One Overwatch game? I'm glad to hear it. I'm sorry that you had a toxic game, but I'm glad that the rest of your weekend's been good. It's really good to hear. I've been watching my partner play through Jedi Survivor most of this week. So I think this weekend we might possibly be getting close to the end. And since it's a bank holiday, we're just gonna kind of chill, eat some food, enjoy a bit of time off together. And just, yeah, have a quiet one. I'm waiting for a small delivery so that I can finish off my garden. I pulled some money out of my savings, so I'm getting myself a little garden upgrade. That should be arriving at some point soon. It'll basically mean I can keep my my plants a bit safer with the weather and everything. Make sure that they're properly taken care of. And I can plant them out a little bit more. So I'm not accidentally crowding out all my seedlings and killing them off before they've had a chance to grow. Yeah, when the weather's a little bit less rainy, because it's been grey and miserable for the past couple of days. Hopefully I get the chance to put that out this week. And of course there'll be photos. I'm so happy with how my little garden, my little balcony garden's going. That's this one. Oh, that's just so silly. Indeed, it was probably a little kid who doesn't know any better as well. Yeah, someone who hasn't learned that there's more to being funny than just making other people mad. Anyone who's over the age of like 12 who does that needs to grow up. I'm all for the you're only as old as you feel kind of stuff, but it's just sad. Making other people miserable is not a form of entertainment for any age group. I'm sorry I had to put up with that, Indy. the rest of the games went well. I hope it didn't spoil too much. All I'm doing here, just a little bit of variety in this grey. I'm adding a bit of darker shading with some ashen. It's a completely unnecessarily and totally self-indulgent step, this one. This just lets those shadowy patches kind of shine a little bit darker, if that makes any sense at all. Natural highlighting. Yeah, my weekend's gonna be all about food and gardening and hopefully watching my partner beat Jedi Survivor. I say hopefully, not because I don't have faith in my partner, but because I don't know how much longer we got left of the game. So I don't know if it's physically possible at this stage. Yeah, all about the super chill, super relaxing weekends this week. I'm not going to stress myself out. I'm not going to push myself to do too much. I'm going to save that for my my week. So yeah, as I mentioned, kind of in a self-indulgent step, but I like doing this sort of thing. It just kind of accentuates whatever light tricks go on naturally. So it looks good even when it's under really harsh spotlights. At least that's the plan. Hey Owen, welcome in. I love that little emote, that's so cute. Yeah, slime. I like lime. I've got a lot of time for lime. And not just because I keep accidentally rhyming today. Mango!
Grand Admiral Mango just resubscribed for 7 months. Me Mango.
Hey Mango, welcome in. Thank you for 7 months. Oh my goodness. Well, Mango. You are the grandest of Avril mangoes. Thank you. I appreciate you very much. Welcome in. I hope you're having a good weekend. Painting a lot of grey right now. So I apologize because it's a dull colour. And I know it's not necessarily the most interesting thing to watch. But it's gonna be a lot of it this week. All I am basically doing is painting rocks. Grandest Amaryllis. Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I'm having an okay one so far. I work on Saturdays, so this is kind of like my first day of my weekend. Which is partly why I keep these streams on Sunday mornings. I know it's a little bit of an odd time slot, but I feel like it always starts off my weekend in the right way. You know, first day off after a long week of work, and I start with a few hours of chill painting. Kind of just always sets the mood. I was just saying how this weekend's gonna be a really, really chill one. Lots of food making, hopefully a bit of gardening. And a bit of time with my partner. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. Yeah, at the moment I'm just building up these rocks a little bit to make them look a little bit more three-dimensional, I guess. So just a little bit of light highlighting. At the moment I'm using Dawnstone, which is just a really light pale grey. Just adding a little bit of highlighting. Bearing in mind, these are gonna have some really detailed, brightly coloured, elaborate models on there, so I don't want them to look too over the top. So I'm keeping all of the like highlighting and stuff quite soft. All the shading's gonna be quite soft as well. Nothing too heavy-handed or excessive, hopefully. Again on this side as well. You might have noticed I'm kind of really taking my time with this model. And that's because it's one that I have wanted to paint for a very long time. And I want to make sure I get it right. You know, it's a big one. It's a big, expensive, elaborate model that I've had for a long time. I don't want to rush it and end up not liking the end result. There we go. I'm quite happy with those rocks for now. I'm not sure about that, Indy. I'm not sure about that, but I appreciate it. I do my best. Alright. Something else is on this, which I know I haven't yet properly addressed. These little Nurglings. I love these little guys. These are some of my favorite Warhammer creations. Little green gremlin demon. Just painting this little buddy up. I'm not worrying too much about any overspill on the actual base part, because this will have a layer of texture paint put over the top of it. So if I overspill a little bit, it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. Everybody here is getting his first coat of paint. So these are tiny demons, basically. They are the image of their sort of patron god. Nurgle, of course. So they are miniaturized versions of Nurgle himself. Yeah, they just like to cause a little bit of mischief. You ever see the absolute classic of a film that is Gremlins? You know what I mean. Like to run around, cause mischief, and just have a good time. You got all sorts of different ones. This guy looks like he might be a sorcerer. He's got his little wizard stuff. Little hat. Now, they don't always wear hats, but these are specifically Mortarion's Nurglings. So as a sign of loyalty to him, they've all got little hoods like he does. Which I thought was a kind of a nice detail. No. Me? Never. Never causing mischief. I told you to take the wizard stuff. Worm tongue. Now, Nurgling's main power is being very small and very mischievous. So they don't actually classically have any powers of their own. Not usually much in the way of sorcerers, but they might have some small tricks. This guy's got a very fancy horn. He's all tricked out with his little tentacle arm too. I mean, this guy kind of lucked out. I'm trying to make sure that I paint any extra tentacles or appendages in a different purple to the one that I use for the hoods, just so that they don't all blend in together. Hey, Garx, welcome in. Cake is always good. We are cake enjoyers in this chat. coffee is also very good. I regret not getting coffee before I started. That's fine. This is fine. Who needs coffee, right? It's me. I need coffee. That's alright. Once I'm done with stream, I'll make a big pot of coffee. Problem is, if I drink coffee before these streams, my hands get all jittery, which is not so great for painting. So, a little bit of paint there. I'm gonna let that dry before I keep on with this guy. I'm gonna move on to the next one behind him. It looks like he's doing a little bit of pyromancy here. He's got some fireballs going. He's having a grand old time. So this is kind of just a base coat layer for these guys. These are probably going to get a lot more detail, a lot more care and attention to them later on. But I want to get kind of a rough idea going. Which cake? What sort of cake? I don't know. What sort of cake have we got going on? Who doesn't like cake? This guy got the short end of the stick today. He's carrying a big old flaming barrel or something. I want cake, Indy. I'm not picky. Cake is cake. Although right now I am pretty hungry, so I was offering a slice of some Victoria sponge, I am not going to turn it down. Could be pyromancy or earth magic. It's true. It's true. Although Nurglings tend towards the pyro side of things generally. They like the chaos of fire. So at the moment, just kind of working on these details here. Just want to make sure that we get the colours going. And yeah, it might not be fully detailed today, but we'll have most of the details done pretty quickly. And the reason I might not fully finish it is because there's probably going to be some stuff that I add later on. Just in part of my usual, like, spur of the moment decisions sometimes. Yes. Nurglings are, think like your classic imps or something like that. You know, they are just purely there to cause mischief. Except they're evil. They are definitely on the evil side of the spectrum. It's worth keeping that in mind if you ever have to deal with a Nurgling. I'm not massively familiar with Fable 3 Indie, but I get the point that you're making. Now, these guys are here to cause trouble. This one's got bells on his head, apparently. So I'll have to grab some brass colours for that. Yeah, I like Nurglings. Their prime directive, so to speak, is cause mayhem. That's it. Simple little creatures. So, if you have an infestation of Nurglings, it's probably already too late for your planet. I'm just saying. These tend to only appear once Nurgle's very firmly established and in charge of the area. Hey, they're cute, so who cares? Switch paintbrushes. Need to break into one of my new paintbrushes at the moment. When I say new, I've had these for about 6 weeks. Just not had the opportunity to use them yet. So we got some gross details on these rocks. I am gonna have to bring to life. For those who don't know, Nurgle is a god of entropy and disease and decay. So quite often travels in the accompaniment of flies, maggots, that kind of thing. So someone who has built an army of Nurgle-inspired warriors, or Death Guard. I've painted more than my fair share of maggots over the years. Just giving them their initial coat of paint at the moment. Because bear in mind, there's also going to be a lot of stuff stuck on the base. This is just the base of the model. So I'm going to have to be careful not to put too many layers of paint where I know something is going to have to attach. Because the more paint that gets in the way, the harder it is to stick it together. It's been my favorite mini to paint. That is a tough question. Tell you the one that I'm like most happy with the result of. I can show you that because it lives on my shelf next to me. Bit of dust off that. So this is my favorite mini that I've painted. Dwarf bust. It was a few years ago now. But you've probably seen it on my Instagram because it's my profile picture over there. But like, all those tattoos were free-handed, all these beads, details, like the little Thor's hammer. The eyes were free-handed in. And just like the texture and the hair and stuff like that was so satisfying. Yeah, and the bone here. It was one of those minis that just worked. So this is probably my favorite thing that I've ever painted. Yeah, it's probably not obvious on stream, but I've got texture inside the lips and everything as well, so it's just a really nice model. I feel like that's where my painting peaked. It's been all downhill from there. But yeah, I like painting busts like that. I've also got one of an Asari that I've done that's in a cabinet downstairs. An Asari matriarch from Mass Effect. I'm also very fond of that model. Very, very happy with that one. Again, it's a little miniature resin bust. But finding good ones is tricky. They're not exactly a popular kind of figure to produce, which is a shame because I love painting them. See the depth of the beard? Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, that model is easily my favorite. Excuse me. Whenever I see the actual model, I'm just sat there like, did I really paint that? I wouldn't believe it, but I remember doing it, so I know it happened. It just doesn't seem like something I could paint. I don't know if anyone's ever had that sort of thing where you accidentally do a really, really good one. You can never replicate it. You just sat there like, huh. I keep that one close so that for the days where I doubt myself. It's good to have those reminders sometimes. Well, yeah. Thanks for asking, Indy. I appreciate that. Well, my little grudge. The model itself was called the Grudge as well. After the Book of Grudges that the dwarves carry. I think I painted that in 2018. So, quite a while ago now. I also really loved painting the Fellowship. That was probably my favorite in terms of just the process of painting it. Fellowship and Treebeard, I really loved painting both of those. But they're in a cabinet. I got the Fellowship, Treebeard, and the Lake Town House all in a cabinet together. So that was quite cool. Yeah, it's hard to pick just one. I think the Grudge one is the one that I kind of keep with me because of like how little I expected of myself from it. I just kind of picked it up as a, well, this will be fun type project, and it turned into something way more. I have a lot of minis at the moment that I still need to paint. So I'm trying to resist adding any more to Throne. Because, yeah. I don't want them to be sat in a box for a year or something. I feel mean doing that. Yeah, we got more time for the next few weeks. Got at least 3 more huge models, like big project models that are going to be worked on this year. This is the year of the projects that I've been too scared to do before, in terms of painting. So, lots of big models. Lots of ambitious paint jobs. There'll be some breaks in between, but by and large it's going to be big models this year. So maybe I'll try the Smelg later in the year. There's a huge, I think it's 2.5 kilo of resin. Smaug model that Games Workshop do. That basically inspired me to get good at painting so that I could paint it one day. Bed and breakfast, yes. I think, if I remember correctly, Samwise ends up being the mayor of the Shire or something like that. I know he, Merry, and Pippin are the first Hobbit ambassadors to Middle-earth. Which I think is pretty cool. Roast potatoes. You just reminded me, Andy. My potato plants have been growing. They're now like proper big plants. I'm so proud of them. I'm excited because it means I can have homegrown potatoes soon. That's just kind of the goal, really, isn't it? Have potatoes whenever you want. It's a pretty good deal in my book. Alright, I'm gonna have to put this layer on before I do anything else. When you realise you're owning a farm girl one day, yeah. Stardew IRL. Rename the channel to Jinxie the Hobbit Life. I'd love to do something like that though. I know I talk about it a lot in my Stardew streams, but I just love the idea of being self-sufficient like that. Not just from an environmental aspect point of view, but just like not being tied to a system that forces you to work a stupid amount of hours just to give other people money. I want to keep participating in that system of working 40 plus hours a week just to make, you know, my landlord and the CEO of the company I work for rich, and to be left with nothing at the end of the month. Like that's just silly. I didn't sign up to trade my time for someone else getting rich and comfortable. I signed up to survive. That's it. So as soon as I can get out, I'm out. I don't know. I think it's because I've been reading a lot about, you know, materialism and why it doesn't work kind of things. And it's just kind of made me think a lot about work, or more specifically, my day job. Because even though this streaming would technically count as work, it doesn't feel like work to me. And I can and do it, even when I'm not getting paid for it. Now, if I could get paid enough from streaming to quit my day job, I would do in a heartbeat, but less than 1% of streamers get to that kind of level. So I'm not beating myself up for not making that just yet. But yeah, like part of why I want to own a farm is so that I can, you know, grow my own veggies, raise my own animals, opt out of working a regular 9 to 5, and just spend more time on stuff that matters. And there are jobs that are worthwhile and worthy of doing. Mine ain't it. I'm a customer service agent, basically. For a toy company. Yeah, I get yelled at by people who are missing completely non-essential items, and they act like it's the end of the world. And you know, I get it, it's your money, you want your things, but it's hard to have empathy for people and who are, you know, calling you every name under the sun because they're missing their toys. You know, grown-ass adults having a temper tantrum because the postman was late. You know, it's... After a while, it changes a lot about your perspective on things. Anyway, enough about me. It's all about the painting. Oop. Ah, damn it. Never mind. Caused a bit of an overspill there, but that's fine. I can deal with it. You can see where I've added this paint, it's now this kind of gritty texture. Very similar in colour to Mechanicus Standard Grey. So if you have that, you can achieve the same effect by just adding a bit of sand into a pot of Mechanicus. It'll kind of give you the same impact. But this is cool. And it just kind of gives it a bit of a more cohesive feel. So I'm just kind of making sure that it goes right up to the edges of the rocks and in all the little spaces that you wouldn't necessarily think to check. There we go. And that'll take a couple of hours to dry. But when it does, it won't change colour, but the grittiness of it will kind of be enhanced a bit. Then I can go over with a lighter colour, like this one, for example, Dawnstone, and just really lightly dry brush over the top of it so it gets like a bit of shading. But I'll be sure to save that for an actual stream, so you all won't miss out on seeing it. It does make it a little tricky to hold, without getting stuff on your hands. But I still got more stuff to paint today before I'm done. So again, kind of like last week, these are all just the base colors. The rocks I did do more of the detail on. But for the Nurglings and stuff, this is just the first layer of paint. There'll be highlights, there'll be more detail put on them, probably at a later stage, when I'm a bit more firm on some of the detail for this model. So I kind of want to keep them consistent with the bigger model. But I've not quite decided on all the details there yet. So some things like the fire, I've not decided what colour I want the flames to be yet. Small details, but they matter, they make a difference. This is why I wish I had one of the big clamps. Model clamps. Okay. Just tidying up what I can. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shorter stream because just a smaller amount of stuff to do at the moment. Yeah, we'll get what we can done and start fresh next week. Last couple of details before we go. Some really, really simple ways to get some cool details in there without causing too much of a hassle. So, got the rocks, shade paints, you'll need Agrax, Bealtine Green, or Athenian Camoshade if you don't have Bealtine Green. It's the same colour, just kind of a slightly different tone. Seraphim Sepia. I'm going to start with the green. This is a really cool way to do some subtle detailing. Just really light amount on the brush. Where do I want to start with this? Probably there. Just pick a little area where you think there might be some algae, for example, or lichen, or moss. Just paint that green in there. I like to use it on like cracks and crevices as an alternative to normal oil. It's quite a dark colour anyway. If you think about it, It's a good way to kind of add a detail in there without actually adding anything, if that makes sense. You're still going to be shading those areas anyway. Shade them in green, you give the impression of there being more to your model than there actually is. That's my theory anyway. So I'm going quite light on the green today. Normally I would go a bit more heavy-handed, but the main amount of shading I'm going to be doing is with Agrax. This is a really dark brown. Works really well on grey rocks. For a shade. It looks like earth. It looks like dirt and mud. And that's kind of what you want. And I would say don't use contrast paints for this unless you can thin them down. Use shade paints where you can. Contrast paints are great, but they're really strongly pigmented. 99% of the time, they're great. Fantastic. For something like this, you want the lighter pigmentation from the shade paints. You want a lot of that colour from the rock to bleed through. You also want to be able to blend. These blend a lot nicer than contrast paints blend with each other. So I'm just taking that to my advantage. Sure to get in around all of the little areas that you've got there as well. Again, it's not really adding anything, it's just refining what's already there. There's a wonderful little bonus. And I'll go through this with the rest of the base as well once the texture paint has dried. Yeah, that's all I'm doing here. Just shadows and shading. Thank you for the hydrate, Indy. Self-care checkpoint. Everyone's taking care of themselves. Don't forget to stretch and hydrate when you need it. So, Agrex, good for those dark shadows. That's where I'm kind of trying to focus it a bit. But there's two kind of shadows. There's the really deep dark shadows. And then there's kind of shade. Yeah, like kind of middle shadow. And that is why I also said bring Seraphim Sepia with you. So for those shadows where it's not quite like deep, deep shadow, but it's still definitely not in the light, bring out your Seraphim Sepia on your rocks. And that's a really, again, does the same trick. It's just a little bit lighter overall in colour. So I give that middle shadow look a bit better. Like so. Again, keeping it quite light on just the volume of shade that I'm using. Seraphim Sepia is a stronger colour overall. So again, you don't want to be too heavy-handed with it. Don't be afraid to blend your shades. This is to kind of mimic the natural variation in colour of rock that you get as well. Like, grey rock is not uniformly grey. It'll have bits of white, bits of black, green, browns, maybe even crystal, like quartz. You got your sediment layers, all that sort of thing. So it's just kind of what I'm emulating here. And bear in mind, we want it to look kind of grimy and gross. That's where we're at the moment. We got our rocks. Our Nurglings. That's going along with this guy we painted last week. In case you missed that. So this is the base for this model, which still has a lot of work to do. That's going to be for next week. I realise it's kind of a short stream. But yeah, I am going to leave it there for today. My hands are unfortunately giving up on me, so I need to rest. But I will leave that there for today this week. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate the company. I'll be back next week. I'll be a bit more on schedule next week. I know this week was kind of all over the place. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day and night wherever around the world. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now, folks.